Hello.
Yeah.
Uh,
Pradeep sir.
yes, sir.
Pradeep sir, Sushil here. My video is not downloading. It is not going through WeTransfer also. It is not transferring.
Okay.
And there's some issue with my laptop also. It is not connecting to my net. I'm with my mobile. I don't know how to transfer it now. My videos, everything is ready. The problem is with my net.
Can you try sending it to my email address?
Yeah, I'm just trying, sir. I'm just trying to send it to you, Deepak sir. But the problem is it's showing just loading. This network is not that good.
Google Drive. Can you try on Google Drive?
Yes, sir. I will try. WeTransfer I'm doing. Within few minutes, I will see to it that it will be transferred to you or Deepak sir.
You can start with Ravi's.
We can make your as third presentation. First, we'll start with Deva Prasad sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. I welcome all for today's 8th episode of ISMS CS Karnataka Weekly Meet. Nucleus Management Part 4. Last week we had some internet issue for Deva Prasad sir's video, so we'll be continuing with his video first. FACO sandwich technique, my top tips. And the discussions are Dr. Venkat Raghav and Dr. Kiran Kumar. Followed by Dr. Ravi Kulkarni sir's Magic of AC Maintainer. The discussions are Dr. Shilpa Maled and Dr. Sundaram Shetty sir. And last, we'll, if the internet is, if the issue is sorted, then we can have third presentation by Dr. Sushil Kakandi, visco expression and hydro expression. And the discussants are Dr. M.S. Ravindra sir and Dr. Sheetal Balal.
Okay. Shall I share my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Good evening to one and all. Today, my topic is FACO sandwich technique. This is the most commonly done procedure. So I'll only show you the steps wherein nucleus is managed. So first the hydro is done so that the nucleus is collapsed at one pole, so that you'll be able to see the nucleus is delivered into the AC first, prolapse of the nucleus in the AC, and then the delivery of nucleus through the tunnel without any collateral damage. So there are few key points here. You should always visualize the rhexis margin and the extent of vectis which is inserted posteriorly. You should always press the posterior lip while delivering the nucleus. That is one good thing. And ensure adequate visco is injected and nucleus is cushioned equally on all the sides. And another one important point is maintaining a deep AC always, so that to protect the endothelium and posterior capsule. Before this, the prerequisites are a good and adequate sclerocorneal tunnel, cortical cleaving hydrodissection, which is very important, so that the nucleus and the epinucleus is delivered in total. And once that is done, the cortical wash becomes easy, and the next step is the insertion of the intraocular lens. Now I'll just show you a few other steps also. In a soft cataract, it's very easy to do an hydrodissection, and because you can appreciate the fluid way going behind. And once you kink the nucleus, you can just prolapse the one pole, and you can use the your vectis, go inside till the posterior extent, and the Sinski should always be horizontal. So once if it is horizontal, you sandwich it just like vada pav. You just you think it is the potato, and just you catch it and just come out like a crocodile. So once that is done, the epinuclear sheet easily comes out in one go. But care is always taken for the AC not to collapse. In white cataract, it's very easy because you'll have a liquid cortex, and you can just kick the nucleus outside the bag, and then you can deliver the nucleus easily. One thing is the extent of vectis and the Sinski should always be equal, so that the nucleus is engaged only. And always prevent collapse of the AC after the delivery of the nucleus. And here is a white cataract. I'm just using my Sinski and vectis, and the nucleus is delivered. In white cataracts, there is hardly any cortical matter left, and with only a rigorous hydro, with the hydro procedure, you can remove even the cortical matter also. And the one this thing is the posterior lip should always be pressed. Posterior lip should be pressed so that the nucleus delivery becomes very easy. Okay. And then this is a little harder cataract. You just take the hydrocannula, go inside the rhexis margin, inject, and just and lift the nucleus at one pole so that the entire nucleus and epinucleus comes in one go. And then you put visco inside, give a good cushioning effect so that if there is a place for you to insert this vectis, and then use your Sinskey and deliver the nucleus. And this is what the phaco sandwich technique. I've been doing it for more than 10 years, and it makes your life easy because it prolapses the nucleus very fast into the anterior chamber, and without any much collateral damage, the nucleus is delivered very easily. Only thing is you need to visualize the extent of the vectis. If the vectis is touching the vectis is holding, if you're not able to visualize the vectis, it may either be holding the posterior capsule margin or else your iris, which can cause an iridodialysis or a PC rupture. This is another cataract. I'm just injecting hydro, then the entire nucleus and the epinucleus is just one go. You can just prolapse it into the anterior chamber, then put visco, take a vectis, go inside, sandwich it, and remove it. So yeah, in all cataracts, this technique works very good. Only thing is the sclerocorneal tunnel should be little bigger for hard cataract and little smaller for a soft cataract. And this is also an hard cataract. You just deliver it through hydrodissection and then prolapse it into the anterior chamber. This is a series of what I'm showing only the nuclear management part of it. Rest of the things we already have discussed. Okay, I like to end my presentation, and would like to take questions also. Hello.
Yeah, it's an excellent presentation.
Yeah, okay, sir. I could press. I have taken 2 connections now. So that there is no network problem. So I think it was okay. Yeah.
Moderator. Who is moderating it?
Dr. Venkat Raghav and Dr. Kiran Kumar.
Are they here? They can unmute themselves. Till they do so, Dr. Dev, I have a very pertinent question. How do you assess the size of the external opening and internal opening based upon your findings as to how big is the nucleus?
Sir, if the nucleus is in a fully dilated pupil, if the cataract is very hard, say NS2, NS3 to NS4, then you presume that the nucleus is going to be little bigger. So you can make a 7 millimeter or 8 millimeter incision so that you can prolapse it, deliver it easily. If it's a softer cataract, you can do a rigorous hydrodissection. So that's the reason you can do a smaller incision.
With your experience, you can know how much is 7, how much is 8.
Yeah.
For a beginner, would you like to advise use of calipers?
And yeah, definitely.
That external 7 or internal 7, or both are same, or internal is larger than
internal is larger than the external, sir. Internal is larger.
Can you exactly tell us how much with the calipers, how much should be the outside one for very soft NS1 and 2, NS3 and 4, how much it should be, a rough guide. And for even larger black cataracts and brown cataracts, what should be internal, what should be the external? Do you have any table or an, figure for that?
Yeah. Around 4 to 4.5 millimeter external incision for a soft cataract. Internal can be up to 5.5 to 6 millimeter. For a harder cataract, you can go anywhere from 6.5 to 7 millimeter external incision. Internal can be 7 millimeter.
What is the biggest you have taken?
I've taken around 8 millimeters, sir. 8 millimeter.
You could manage in 8 millimeters.
Yeah. You can manage all the cataracts.
Fine. What is the length of the tunnel? Length in the sense from distance between the external and internal tunnel.
It's around 2.5 to 3 millimeters.
You said the cortex in mature cataract is not very easy to take it out. But if you actually take your Simcoe cannula to the equator, many times you see small clumps of cortex. And you will be surprised that on first post-op day or second post-op day, they all come into the pupillary area and settle down in the antechamber. So this is something which will have to really worry. The fibrous nature of cortex has gone away, and it's all become chunks of amorphous soft material which is sitting all over. So it's nice to either flush it out with the cannula or go to the equatorial capsular, part at every clock hour and try to aspirate and irrigate aspirate. You'll be surprised to see chunks of cortical material coming out. And the other very good point you have mentioned is press the posterior lip towards the center, in the center to accommodate the outcoming nucleus. That's an excellent point. But I would say that at that point, see the wire vectis is in the center of the tunnel. Tunnel is big. So you keep the, if that is a tunnel, you keep the wire vectis right in the center.
Sir,
Right in the center.
kindly
So
unmute
you have
all.
maximum opening.
You're not able to.
I've unmuted. I've unmuted.
Okay. Should be pressed down so that it opens. It's like a fish mouthing. If you're pressing somewhere else, it doesn't fish mouth. But if you're putting it here, it fish mouths. It's a very large nucleus. You don't have to do a wire vectis. You can even take a cannula to press it down. Another wire vectis. Cannula is good enough. The nucleus will come out gliding on the cannula, and you don't have to take wire vectis there. That I use in a very large, hard cataracts. So instead of wire vectis, use a cannula there. Cannula, and it will glide on the cannula. So that will also be helpful in large, thick cataracts.
Okay.
Any other points? Where are the discussions?
Yeah. They have nice presentation.
Thank you.
And one thing I would like to tell the beginners is they should sit right in front of the tunnel. So, and the vectors should go right in the middle of the tunnel. They should use the full dimension of the tunnel so that the vectors is in the middle, and they use the full dimension of the tunnel to deliver the nucleus. Hello?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah,
you're audible. Go ahead.
Yeah, that is one thing. The vectors should exactly be in the center. And the main function of this Sinskey hook is to protect the endothelium, which many beginners don't use it properly, this Sinskey hook. This is just to dip the nucleus down so that the endothelium is protected. These are the 2 points I would like to emphasize. And one more point is the tip of the vectors should always be in sight. The last video, what you showed, Dave, the tip was not visible. So the beginners, maybe we senior surgeons can manage it. The tip should always be visible. Means I wish to say that tip should be always in sight. The tip of the vectors should always be in sight. However denser the cataract, we can.
You put this in.
Hello.
I've unmuted everyone. Yeah.
Another point I would like to add.
Dave, one more thing.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Another point I would like to add is in this phaco sandwich technique, I have seen when the beginner surgeons are using this technique, while they put the vectis and they're concentrating on the dialer, they lose focus of where the vectis is going. So the hand which is holding the vectors has to be extremely stable when the dialer is inserted, so that it doesn't go too posterior or push the nucleus to anterior, and thereby touching the endothelium. And the second point is in very soft cataracts, I've seen the students putting a lot of pressure while holding the cataract, which is not required, especially in the phaco sandwich technique. It has to be held very gently without bisecting it and removing it in a single piece.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, Dr. Sheetal. I think, and try out the way I was described. Instead of Sinskey hook, replace it with a 25 gauge cannula, which is mounted on a lower lock syringe 2 ml. Fill it up with viscoelastic and same concept. But as you're drawing it out, and if there is a Sinskey hook, the space stress in the antechamber are limited, especially in a large nucleus, hypermetropic eye, small filter eye. If you're continuously injecting viscoelastic, practice it outside the surgery. It's very easy to do it. And that means you are creating space between the endothelium and the nucleus. You'll be surprised to see that endothelial count loss is 0. So if I have 2,500 cells before surgery, I can have 2,500 cells after surgery. It's a possible. But only thing is, always imagine that endothelium should be away from. See, if the nucleus is stationary, endothelium is coated with viscola HPMC, particularly HPMC. I would say that HPMC and chondroitin sulfate, these are the only two viscolas which protect endothelium. If it is touching like that, there is a thin layer of viscoelastic between the two, that's endothelium and the nucleus or epinucleus, then it's safe. It doesn't do it. But if it starts moving, then that's the time you will lose the endothelium. So that is the time when you start moving it. If you're injecting in the space, if you're forming this space with viscoelastic all the time, the loss on endothelial cells is very less. So we have 1,500, 1,400, 1,200 cells. You know, it remains like that. If you take little more precaution that you're not going to damage the endothelium, it's easiest in SICS. Two things: don't compromise on the tunnel size. Everybody wants to do with smaller and smaller tunnels. This is number one error everybody is going to do it. Do not compromise on the tunnel size. It's immaterial how much is it. Everything is going to heal. You got a scleral tunnel. Sclera, everything is healed. After 2 months, you can't reopen it. Like a cornea can always reopen it. See, I've got a video where I've tried to reopen this for some reason. Sclera I have to dissect. Limbus I have to dissect. The one side is cornea, it opens up. So you don't have to worry about the commonest mistake is in the mind. You say, I have to make a smaller tunnel, smaller tunnel, smaller tunnel. No, not necessary. Your prime thing, as I keep telling, is endothelium. I think we should continue.
Sorry, you have muted.
Okay. All of you are muted, but if you want to speak, kindly unmute, because a lot of noises come. Mute everybody, but you are capable of unmuting yourself. And after talking, kindly mute yourself.
Yeah, that was an excellent videos by Dr. Dev. Sir, I just had a doubt, like which incision do you prefer, sir? Is it like straight or inverse? Does it depend on the grade of cataract? Which one is more better? For a hard cataract, what do you prefer? Whether it's a smiley, inverse smiley incision or a straight?
No,
or
I
for
usually
a softer one. Yeah.
I usually do a straight incision.
For all cataracts.
Usually all cataracts, but superior temporal. Usually superior temporal, and depending on the K1, K2 reading, if the most deeper meridian I choose. But hard cataract or any cataract for that matter, I usually put a straight incision and if the keratometry reading is more, if it is more K1 or K2 is more, I go little farther from the incision, and if it is lesser, I go closer to the limbus. That's the only thing I follow.
So one more doubt, sir. What are the difficulties in high hyperopes and shallow AC? What are all the precautions to be taken?
High hyperopes, you need to maintain because the antechamber is going to get shallow as the surgical steps progress. So you need to keep your AC well formed by injecting a lot of visco, and then while delivering the nucleus, your Sinskey should always be horizontal, and ensure that the tunnel is little bigger so that you don't damage the endothelium or the posterior capsule when removing. The main thing is maintain a deep anterior chamber by injecting copious amount of visco at every moment of time, maybe every 10 seconds once. You need to form the AC. AC should not never get flat.
Okay.
And Dr. Dev,
Tell me.
So for the beginners, the vectors and the dialer so should be on top of one another. There should be an angulation, or it should be right just in the middle of the vectors. The Sinskey hook.
Sinskey hook. It can have an angle. Only thing is it should be horizontal, and it can be on the center, but it should be on the plane of the vectors. It should not slide this side or that side.
Actually, this is like most critical steps to be followed by PJs. And actually, it's very difficult for them to make out like what should be the angulation and how much should be the distance between. What we make usually while training and all, just on a bare microscope, we just make them to practice without any artificial eye, just to handle the instrument, like how to handle vectis inside anterior chamber and how to pass the Sinskey in some.
Dave, I want to know.
Sorry, it got muted.
Dave, can I speak now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. When you are trying to remove the nucleus with vector dialer,
yes, sir,
it is not coming out of the tunnel.
Okay.
So what could be the reasons?
One of the it could be the tunnel is not adequate for the nucleus to be delivered. So you push the nucleus again inside the anterior chamber. Try to extend the incision with a keratome, maybe a 0.5 millimeter or 1 millimeter extra, and then put lots of visco, then cushion the nucleus, and you can deliver it.
Is it the only cause, or any other things we have to look for?
Maybe the tunneling is not proper. The plane of the incision is not proper, so that it's not coming through the tunnel.
Yeah, could be that. The one point what Venkat Raghu told is pertinent in a sense. You have a 6 or 6.5 mm tunnel, but your the line of withdrawal is not parallel to the tunnel. In a sense, you are not withdrawing it in line with the tunnel. So the position and the withdrawal of the vectis is extremely important. You bring it out in line with the tunnel so that the two pillars of the tunnel don't, obstruct the nucleus from coming out. Then number 2 possibility is that with the pressure you apply with the dialer over the nucleus, the part of the nucleus can herniate through the fenestration of the vectis, and it will be like a the Nagilo of the farmer. So it will get caught in the inner lip of the tunnel. So it is extremely difficult in such situation. You can neither come forward nor go backwards. So that's why, as it was mentioned, dialer should be used as an instrument which prevents the nucleus from rubbing the endothelium rather than to catch it. There is no need to catch, as you said, little pressure on the posterior lip and withdrawal of the vectis. Particularly, you showed those vectis has some serrations, I think, what you are using. Is it? Has it got some serration on the surface, or?
Both I have, sir, serrated and unserrated.
If there is serrated, then it will give some resistance. So just you have to use a dialer to prevent it from touching the nucleus touching the endothelium.
Endothelium, yes, sir. True.
And you said that if it gets stuck in the tunnel, try to push it back. Probably that is the most dangerous maneuver when a maximum injury will happen to the endothelium and to the Descemet's membrane. And it can even tear and cause a Descemet's tear as well. So we have to plan it. If it is more than half, or if the widest part is stuck, probably you can try to maneuver in the tunnel and try to bring out part of the nucleus, breaking it, and make it the longer axis of the nucleus come parallel to the tunnel, and then try to take it out. As much as possible, avoid pushing the nucleus back. You will be okay if the nucleus is a bit soft, which has a soft epinucleus, but if it is a hard nucleus, you are going to cause severe injury to the endothelium and the Descemet's membrane.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. They are very good points. One of the ways we can break is using a cystotome. Cystotome is very useful. It's on the set all the time. It's got a sharp bent tip. And if you want to really break it, you can use cystotome to break the nucleus. And as Dr. Shetty said, break it and take out a piece and rotate it in the talent itself and take it out. That's one good news. Dr. Dev, can you tell us the difference between serrated Bectis and non-serrated Bectis in your experience, because you're using both of them?
Yeah.
Do you pick up selectively serrated, non-serrated, or it comes in rotation depending upon the cell?
It comes in rotation. I don't have control over it. Okay. But I usually prefer a non-serrated one because it is little, you just want to just sandwich it. You don't want to create any herniation of the nucleus. Serrated takes a lot of space also, and then to pull it, it causes little more damage. But unserrated one is little comfortable.
Okay. So there is a question here by Dr. Prashant. Iris can be holding the nucleus, especially if it is floppy, number one. There's another very interesting question by Dr. Vishwanath Reddy. Iris prolapse along with the nucleus. How to minimize, prevent it? These are the two questions you can take, Dr. B. One of the
Iris prolapse usually happens when the nucleus is delivered out through the tunnel. If you had a very good tunnel, the iris should not prolapse. If the tunnel is very small and the nucleus is big, that is when the Bectis touches the iris and then the comes out. So once iris prolapse happens, then you should see to that not much of a collateral damage you have to do. So you need to put little visco, push the iris inside, and then make the AC deep so that further damage doesn't occur.
So you would recommend a little longer tunnel on the corneal side whenever the iris appears to be floppy, or in a small people especially.
Yeah. Corneal, corneal extent should be more. Yeah.
History of prostate,
BPA. No, corneal tunnel should be wider enough so that you can manage all types of cataracts.
Right. But can it hold the nucleus? But it doesn't have strength to hold prevent the nucleus from coming out. Obviously, it will start coming out along with it as a black pigment, and then it will be positive. But this question is whether it can hold the nucleus back.
No, it will not. It can hold, provided the tunnel is little narrow. If it is wide enough, I think the iris should not come in the way.
Fine. The other thing is faulty instruments. If the wire Bectis itself is rough there or splintered, or it's not properly designed, then that can also drag the iris.
Okay.
Also, when if you have injected quite a lot of visco behind the nucleus, so quite a bit of would have gone under the iris as well. So that is when you try to, as you said, you press the posterior lip and withdraw. At that time, it can, along with the visco, iris also can present in the tunnel. So that has to be kept. And a small iridotomy can also prevent, or if it is repeatedly happening, you can prevent it from coming to the tunnel, a small iridotomy. Or you can even, sometimes while passing the Bectis itself, the iris will start coming to the port. That could be quite dangerous or injurious to the iris if you push the Bectis, hoping that the iris will go back, you may cause a dialysis. In such cases, better to pass either a iris repositor over the iris over which you can pass the vectis.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion. Take out the vectis if it's possible to take it out. Use an instrument in the center. Iris vectis has got a hole in the center through which iris can come out. Use a, as I said, iris repositor to keep it in the center and let the nucleus come on, glide on it. And see that you enlarge the tunnel with a small knife on either side or one side, whatever way it is, so that the trauma to the iris is much lesser. And injection, continuous injection of HPMC is of great use here, where it's going to push the iris diaphragm backwards and minimize its collapse. Anybody else? All the delegates can ask questions. You have to unmute yourself and then ask questions. Everybody is being muted to avoid the disturbance. If there are no questions, we can go. Can we go to the next?
Ranjit sir, please.
Welcome, doctor. Welcome,
Sir,
doctor.
please unmute.
You have to unmute.
I have always been using an irrigating vectis, and I would suggest the vectis should be held in the dominant hand, because irrigation plus holding the vectis, two actions are done by your dominant hand, and the other hand has a Sinskey hook or a dialer or whatever instrument we are using, just to hold the nucleus from the top, prevent it from touching the endothelium. And we require the viscocannula on the top only if we are practicing that phaco section. Otherwise, phaco sandwich, I would always suggest irrigating vectis and the Sinskey hook or dialer. And because that vectis goes under the nucleus is literally a blind procedure, so I always suggest dominant hand should be doing that. Thank you.
Excellent feedback. But everybody should be an ambidextrous. I think especially youngsters should learn to become ambidextrous. Start doing if you're a right-handed person, start doing suturing with the left hand. And almost anything that your right hand can do, you can do with the left hand. This is something which I would like to urge all youngsters to practice, to be ambidextrous. There is a very interesting question from Dr. Ravi, that does lens thickness on A scan give an indication for the length of the incision or width of the incision, whatever you call it?
Sir, you prefer a vectis.
Dr. Dev, you have to unmute.
Yeah. This I don't think so. It doesn't matter actually. It depends on the density of the cataract. I've not known any instances about the A scan readings, but the density of cataract definitely makes decision to extend the incision.
I remember a study done by Dr. K.R. Murthy a long time ago. He presented it in one of the conferences. They compared the color of the nucleus with the hardness of the nucleus. That's the time when we were doing ECC, and then we shifted to SICS and phacoemulsification. And phacoemulsification machines were not very good at that time. I'm talking about 1992, 93, 94. It used to take a lot of energy to this thing. Then he did a beautiful study and presented it. From clarity to amber to brown to black, as the color changes, the hardness also increases. So if it's of use to you, you can practice it depending upon the color. And more than biometry, I would like to give the slit lamp. All of you are aware of how do you grade I think one of you can take it. How do you grade the nucleus hardness? By looking at it on slit lamp. That has got more relevance than biometric thickness. Biometric thickness can be soft cataract, can also be thick, hard cataract can be thin. So color as well as the slit lamp grading of the nucleus gives much more importance. Based upon it, you can actually calculate and measure the width of the tunnel, number one. Number two, always correlate. You write down. Measurement gives another good feedback to you. Measure the outer one, measure the inner one, measure the length of it with a caliper, put a caliper in every set that you have, and you do that and connect it with the SIA. You calculate SIA for every patient, then you have a beautiful, I think Varamani has done that, beautiful table on which you can say so much of astigmatism can be corrected by so much of tunnel parameters.
A quick point to conclude the discussion on A-scan. A-scan can give spurious readings, especially during the intermittent cataract. It might give a very large thick lens, but actually the cataract would be soft. So it would not give an accurate indication for us to judge the dimensions of the nucleus. So spurious readings will be there. So although it's a good thought, but it may not be holding true in all the cases.
Another question, is there any advantage of using back cuts when incision site are planned to be more than usual?
Back cuts help a lot because you can make a 5 millimeter incision and then put a 0.5 millimeter back cuts. It will help you to reduce your astigmatism as well as delivering a large nucleus to a small tunnel.
Very good. Good point.
Dave, what is your average post-operative astigmatism with sandwich technique?
Sir, it's anywhere around 0.5 to 0.75, sir.
That's very good.
Yes, sir.
This is what exactly I'm telling you. We try to reduce incision and burn our fingers. So when he does 7 millimeter tunnel and does a beautiful tunnel as we have seen it, and he can achieve 0.5 astigmatism, what else you want? There's nothing more you are aspiring. Okay, I think.
Next.
If there are no questions, can we move to second topic, sir?
Yeah, you can.
I request Dr. Ravi Kulkarni sir to share the screen and present this topic, magic of AC maintainer.
Okay. I think it is disabled. Dave?
You're on, I think. You can do it. We're hearing you.
Host disabled participant.
No, sir.
Screen
Screen sharing participant. Dev, sir, kindly.
Now it's there.
Okay.
Is it visible now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Namaste, everybody. This is the magic of AC maintainer, my experience with the Blue Menthol technique. This is my tiny magic instrument, AC maintainer. It has it is 20 gauge instrument, and MUR used for that is also 20 gauge. This is how I make a port 180 degree away from the main port, and the AC maintainer is off, and it is a rotatory movement. You will put it inside, and then we put it on. We will go one by one, smaller to harder nucleus. This is a 37-year-old male patient and very soft nucleus. Almost there is no nucleus at all. So once we start doing hydrodissection, most of the things will start coming out, and some more hydro procedure will bring a whole of the nucleus, epinucleus part out of the bag. You can notice the AC is not collapsing, even though I am pressing the posterior lip of this 2.8 millimeter tunnel. The posterior capsule is not coming forward, and the rest of the epinucleus can be aspirated out from the side port with the help of 23 or 24 cannula. This is one more 46-year-old female. Slightly, I expect some nucleus in this, tiny nucleus. Again, hydro procedure is done. Along with that, most of it will start coming out. You can see that flying small, tiny nucleus. This is also coming out of that 2.8 millimeter. And the AC maintainer is on. Because of that, the whole thing will come out very easily. This slightly harder nucleus. Here, initial small amount of BS is injected on the right side to make space for the nucleus to prolapse like this. And the other side, when I'm doing the hydrodissection, I'm pressing the pole, that side pole, so that the nucleus prolapses into the anterior chamber. And now with the Sinskey hook, I just rotate the nucleus. Here, I feel the secondary hydro procedure is occurring because of the AC maintainer. The saline seeps in, and the nucleus will come out of the anterior chamber and also out of the tunnel. Slightly harder than that. Here, the initial right side small amount of BSS was injected to make a space for the pole to prolapse. And this side, I am pressing. And sometimes this whole of the nucleus tilts like this and tumbles like this and comes to the anterior chamber. Because of the AC maintainer continuously flowing inside, the posterior capsule is pushed backwards. And you can safely do all the maneuvers. Just prolapse it to the anterior chamber, and you can use either same Sinskey hook or any flat instrument. This is the iris repositor I am using. Just to press the posterior lip at the center, whole of the nucleus will come out, and also epinucleus also comes out with that. Slightly harder nucleus. Sometimes I use visco also if the nucleus is very hard and the endothelial count, endothelium is not healthy, something like that. This with iris repositor only, I am dialing it out. And once 180 degree of pole is out of the bag, that is sufficient to bring it from the anterior chamber to out. This is how I do it in most of the cases. This is more harder nucleus. Initial small amount of hydro is done from the right side, and the left side I press it, nucleus pops up, and you just rotate it with the Sinskey hook. The rotation also I do it more towards in the center, because the force exerted and rotational physics, it's more of a physics. You just rotate small amount, that will rotate in the periphery, it will be big. You prolapse it, and this much is sufficient. Press the posterior lip, the whole thing will come from the bag to the anterior chamber to the outside. This is a one-eyed patient. Actually, other eye pseudophakic bullous keratopathy. Probably they have tried echo or SICS and endothelial loss. Here I am planning to use visco. And the nucleus is also adequate sized rhexis is most important here. This pole is prolapsed this side. Now I am injecting the visco to protect the endothelium and also to facilitate that nucleus to come to the anterior chamber. Now the AC maintainer is off. Visco is going inside. AC maintainer is off. Now the AC maintainer is on. Just once it is in the anterior chamber, I put it on and press the posterior lip with the same instrument, or you can use iris repositor. Original Blumenthal used to use iris glide thing, like thing. The tunnel size was not adequate, I felt, so I extended the tunnel 0.5 millimeter here and this side, that side, and the nucleus came out with these. The AC because of the AC maintainer's pressure, whole thing is very physiological. This is a traumatic cataract. Anterior capsule is ruptured. AC maintainer is introduced, and it is not switched on initially, because I don't know whether the posterior capsule is there or there is a breach in the posterior capsule. So I just flushed the anterior chamber with a 10 cc BSS loaded in the 10 cc. I realized the free movement of the cortex and all. I felt the posterior capsule is intact. This is how I manage most of my cases with the AC maintainer. This AC maintainer has made my life very easy. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Wonderful presentation, Dr. Ravi sir. You use it in all cases?
Yes, I use it in all cases, and that is the first instrument to start with. I start with the AC maintainer, then the rhexis, then the tunnel, everything. And that is the last thing to come out.
I have used it, and it's a wonderful tool, as you said, especially for beginners who are learning, because it keeps the AC very well maintained without thinking to inject viscoelastic substance every time. It acts as a, like third hand of the surgeon.
Yes.
Do you find any difference? Do you have a count of endothelial cell loss before
No, I have
surgery?
not done any studies on that. I just clinically assess it. Most of them, when I use a visco, compared to the visco used eye, this AC maintainer used eyes are more clear. Corneas are more clear.
It looks very simpler in your hands because your surgical time
is really simple.
less. it is pretty less surgical time, but a person who's using AC maintainer for 30 minutes, it does change the scenario, I guess.
No, it is very simple. Actually, it's just an initial hiccup to put it. I think many people I have gifted it, but nobody is using it.
No, it's a wonderful tool, as I said, but for beginners like postgraduates, if they're doing the surgery for half an hour, that I have that thing that it will wash off all the endothelial cells, and it has to be always bevel down. If it is bevel up or sideways, then again the problem is of getting damage to the endothelial cells.
No. Bevel up also, that the flow will not, I don't think it will cause damage to the endothelium, because it is parallel to the limbus, and the flow is, when you see it is rotating actually, you can see cortical fibers, you can observe, they rotate like this. It never hit the endothelium. In fact, I put it bevel up only. And initially I had a few cases of that localized descemet detachment. That is the most important thing. Try to use only MER, not these 15-degree angle blades and all. They are not, you can't judge it unless you are more experienced. MER of that prescribed 0.9 millimeter is ideal. That is the only thing. And in posterior polar cataracts, if you are sure that there is a posterior polar, you should be little cautious. The bottle height and all adjustments, and when to switch off, when to use visco and all, that thing you have to take. These two are the situations where you have to be cautious.
Yeah, we've been told that you're supposed to put it in a sideways manner, in a screwing way, always bevel down and with irrigation off. That helps preventing descemet detachments.
So while going inside only it happens. Once it is inside, descemet detachment will not happen. Only while putting inside or making with a blunt MER, the descemet can detach. Once it is inside, make sure that it is inside first. If it is partially inside, that can cause so many problems. The cornea becomes hazy sometimes.
But it would look very simpler in your hands, I must say.
It is very simple, actually. It's very simple.
The other point is that as you're introducing it, if it's bevel down, the tip of the bevel can hit the endothelium.
Yes.
So you should be always, when inside the eye, you rotate it wherever you want. And actually, I rotate it towards the pupil. So that the flow is towards the pupil, not up, often. But as you enter it, so as you can see, the bevel, it should be, the tip of it should be below, so that the chance of it hitting the descemet should be lesser. So as you introduce, as Dr. Ravi said, introduce bevel up, then you rotate the way you want.
Ravi,
sir,
very well done. Is there any style of the tunnel you prefer to engage the nucleus?
Yes, sir. I don't have that parallel edges. I'll have this bucket like. Inside incision is slightly bigger, mine. It accommodates the nucleus faster and comes out.
Was there any occasion where you struggled to engage the nucleus?
Yes, sir. Many times when the hard cataracts and my judgment goes wrong sometimes. I usually make 6.5 to 7. Sometimes, you mean the bigger nucleus you are asking?
No, meaning is there is a difficulty. What is the cause? Is it the size of the tunnel or the nucleus rotating in the antechamber, or what is the reason if it is, not engaging into the tunnel?
I think inside lip, if it is not parallel, if it is ragged and all, the one side it is coming and the other side there is a hindrance, something like that. Otherwise, most of the time it engages, sir. Size is the most important thing.
When it doesn't engage, what is the way out? Because I had some nightmare experience when I was trying.
Yes, sir. You enlarge, sir. Simple thing is enlarge it a little bit. 0.5 here, 0.5 here. Make it 8 millimeter. Any big nucleus will get accommodated. And flying nucleus
to engage.
Sir?
You don't use a vectis to engage the nucleus?
No, sir. No, I am not using. Any flat instrument you can do, sir.
Have you used glide in the beginning?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have used a glide. In fact, I have used vectis also to just press whichever instrument is available. In fact, you can use a Macpherson's with the blade open. You just press the posterior lip, then flow. Because of the flow, nucleus comes to the port tunnel.
But I guess the incision size has to be slightly bigger then, because it has to come on its own. In phaco sandwich technique, we compress it and then pull it mechanically. Here, the fluid pressure itself has to push the nucleus out. Then I assume that for slightly harder cataracts, your incision has to be slightly bigger.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And my experience, the moment you put any instrument in the main opening, the main tunnel, AC tends to shallow, right?
Yes, sir. Tends to shallow.
That is when, for example, you try to put any other instrument, it cannot go beyond the